So I think there's a bunch of things I would say to that. The first is you've got to establish a culture of trust and transparency. If there's something fundamentally wrong with your position as a business, let me use the tobacco companies lying about smoking and cancer, it's very difficult to communicate truthfully inside of the company when the employees know you're lying to them, right? It's just people have a bullshit detector, right? So you have to be careful that what you say, like Google says, we put the user first. So if we ever don't do that, our employees are very aggressive, and as they should be, right? So part of that is that sort of shared trust between executives and management, and that's solved by communication. And people, by the way, want to be led. They want to win. They want to see the low performers not promoted. They want to see the high. There's a whole bunch of things which you all take for granted that they want to see done. But ultimately, communication is the start. You'll see a lot of executives on power trips, and ultimately, I think the best executives are people who understand that they work through others, right? And a simple test is, do they say I a lot? Do they ever emerge from their corporate office? When they run meetings, another example. When you run a meeting, do you do all the talking or do the employees do all the talking? It better be the latter. The less you say, the more they say, the better. Another thing is, if you think about a meeting that you're in, and all of you spend all your time in meetings because you're senior executives, out of the 10 people you normally meet with, 3 talk a lot, 3 never say a word, and 2 are sort of annoying, right? It's okay, right? So one day, why don't you see if you can make the people who never say anything say something interesting, and get a real debate on a real issue, and see if you can find the best idea, not the consensus idea and not your idea. So those are some simple rules. And I remember the first staff meeting I went to, it was a fascinating staff meeting because the conversations were fascinating. They were very interesting. It was like being in graduate school. But of course, it just went on and on and on. And so the trick is to maintain that level of curiosity and intellectual discipline, but put enough structure that stuff happens, right? And that is ultimately what we were able to do with a lot of work, including help from you. But I think it's best to understand that the programming of the culture predated me, and what sort of legitimate management needed to do was to harness it in a good way. And the book is indeed about a lot of this. It's easy to think that Google is about the benefits. Sorry, Laszlo. But what Google is really about is about empowerment with smart teams. I can assure you that if we eliminated all the perks, which we're not going to do, but imagine if we did, the employees would grumble a lot in an entitled way, as we discussed, and then they would get back to work because their friends are here, the people they collaborate, the projects that they care about. So to me, the test of an organization is whether the work is meaningful. And by meaningful, I mean in the kind that you understand meaningful to you is. I enjoy it, I get up. Right, I love to come to work. I love to be part of Google. It is my home. I'm asked all the time, what would I do next? I say, Google is my home. And I actually mean that. And I don't mean I live here because we banned that a while ago. But you get the idea. And if you want to lead, and you want to lead with people, you better have a pretty good answer how you're going to manage them. And the company's run by computer scientists, right, scientists and so forth. So anything we do in HR is going to be very data analytics driven. And there was no finer choice than Laszlo at the time. And I'll tell you, by the way, just to go on just a little bit more about our model. So we have board meetings and we have board members. And the board members say that they've never seen in a corporation the amount of analytics that we do about people presented to the board. Right? That's how we run Google. And you can do it too, at any scale.
Get as well to something, I'm thinking of people who are at other organizations which don't have that same DNA that sort of Google started with.
But I have a strong opinion. Since I have the perfect audience for my message, bear with me. Everything we talk about in our book and we talk about at Google, you can do. And do you know how you do it? What percentage of your workforce do you turn over and hire in a given year? 5%? 10%? It's numbers like that, okay? So you could literally today, tomorrow, change your hiring practices to consistent with Laszlo's new book, which you're late on.
Again, no hierarchy, no pressure. We're all love and hugs and kisses at Google.
Yeah, all that shit. But my point is that you could set yourself out to remake the culture of your company, and over a few years, right, with the support of the CEO, the board, or whatever, you could actually do this. And here's what you got to do: you got to set a 5-year plan and strategy that people like, and it's got to make sense. You've got to evangelize it really strong. You've got to tighten up your hiring and look for the kind of people that will drive you forward, and then there'll be an internal revolution, right? But that's fun. That's business. If somehow you thought that business was stable, predictable, hierarchical, that's a government, okay? They don't pay so well.